welcome back to Man vs. Weed, the cannabis review podcast for people that actually use cannabis. I'm your host, Tango Hotel Charlie. If you're a new listener, my cannabis novice wife brings me legal weed and I put it to the test. Normally I test flowers, but today we're going to do something a little different. Yeah, so we're going to look at an edible today. Now, to be honest, I never planned on doing edibles for a couple of reasons. The first one is milligram limits. You see, in Canada, legal edibles are capped at 10 milligrams, period. No exceptions. So if these are 2 pieces of chocolate in the package, then each piece will be 5 milligrams. If there are 5 gummies in a package, then they can only add up to a total of 10 milligrams. So each gummy would be capped at 10 milligrams each. This low dose is laughable to all but the most novice of users. To make matters worse, they're priced typically at about $8 plus tax for a 10 milligram package. For instance, I recently saw banana chips for $8. There were 4 in the pack. That means each chip is 2.5 milligrams. And with tax, those 4 banana chips are $10. That's $2.50 per 2.5 milligram banana chip. And if you think that's okay, you're an asshole. Most people lean towards 100 to 250 milligrams. Others much higher. You see, everyone is different, and that's okay. But for 100 milligrams at this price point, it would cost $80 plus tax. And let's be clear, 100 milligrams is the minimum for many people. That's not some kind of heroic dose or anything. $80 for 100 milligrams. Not to mention the extra amount of sugar and whatever else they're making you consume to eat that 100 milligrams. Because that's now 10 packages of gummies you have to consume. That all adds up to a lot of excess packaging, which compounds an already massive issue. Another thing you have to worry about is what's actually in the gummies. As far as the medicine, you have no idea what cannabis or what quality of flower or leaf was used in that. You simply have no idea. We have already seen clearly that they are willing to cut any corner they can on the flowers that they use. Flowers which you can visibly, clearly inspect for yourself and see these issues. So what do you think they're going to put in edibles that you can't visually inspect? When you see a gummy, it's just a gummy. You have no idea what they did. Mildew, bugs, leaf, sticks, fungus, floor sweepings. Who fucking knows what they put in there? You certainly can't tell from looking at a banana chip. So for these reasons, I had never planned on reviewing edibles. However, my wife's coworker gave her a pack of Wana Quick Strawberry Lime Gummies the other day. The coworker is a lady in her 50s, and she said they helped her relax. She thought my wife might like them. However, my wife is a chicken and wouldn't eat them. So that only left one person. Hi. Now, Wana Quick is a company in the States that is licensed for use in Canada by an LP called Indiva. Indiva has several edible brands under its umbrella, including Artisan Branch, Wana, Bang, Ruby Cannabis Sugar, Sapphire Cannabis Salt, and Jules Chewable Tablets. So basically you have Indiva at the top growing cannabis, then it all gets used in these various different products, under different names. So, same flower, different edible, no matter what company you pick. This package is a 10 milligram dose broken up into 2 units of 5 milligrams. It was packaged March 1st, 2021, and it expires March 1st, 2022. Strawberry Lime Gummies sounds great, but 10 milligrams? Oh boy. Now it seems like a good time to talk about milligrams. See, when I was a kid in the 90s, my mom used to make a medicated spice cake. She's a hippie from the 70s, and there were no distillates and concentrates back then. She didn't even make canna butter. What she would do was grind it all up into a flour and make spice cake with it. Now, growing up, I had 2 different stepdads. One was a convicted bank robber, and the other one a murderer. So you can imagine I was exposed to quite a few interesting characters. One of those characters was a guy called Big Mike. Now obviously a guy named Big Mike wasn't called that ironically. That dude was pushing 350 and like all Big Mikes, he was talking all that shit. You've heard it before. I smoke, I drink, I sniff. That cake ain't gonna do shit. So he ate a couple of slices of that cake with all the confidence of a 350-pound white guy. And he was knocked the fuck out on our couch in less than 2 hours, snoring away and dead to the world. Funny little story, Big Mike went on to murder a coke dealer on his own birthday in his own house. He was arrested in days. Smart decisions weren't exactly Big Mike's forte. But what he did do was teach me to respect cannabis edibles, because I would tell this story to my friends as a warning as I handed them a piece of my mom's cake. Eat a little, wait. If you're not feeling anything, have some more. Don't talk shit. Respect it. Nowadays, of course, we like to think we're much more sophisticated, right? But unless your product has been specifically tested using gas chromatography, it's all guesswork. What many folks will do is look up the strain on the internet and find the percentage of THC listed on the website. They'll do some math and call it a day. But many of those percentages are not accurate. They're a sliding scale. There's different phenotypes of plants, resulting in different percentages. Different growing conditions, breeding techniques, a list of variables that make the plant in your hand unique from whatever was tested on the internet. So unless you have access to expensive lab equipment, you're not going to have an accurate read on what's actually in your edible. It's all guesswork. The other way to make more accurate edibles is to use distillate. THC distillate is a concentrate where the THC has been distilled or stripped of all its cannabinoids. This distillate can be dialed into a percentage and accurately dosed in edibles. This, of course, removes a lot of the guesswork and makes milligrams much more accurate. THC distillate is great and potent, but without the other cannabinoids to provide the entourage effect, it just has a different interaction with your endocannabinoid system. That could be a positive or a negative thing for you, depending on your particular needs. So one thing I hear a lot is, not all of us need 500 milligrams. Some of us are okay with 10 milligrams. I even had a famous Canadian weed lawyer once tell me that legal 10 milligrams were stronger than black market 10 milligrams, and I would look silly when we tried their tweed edibles, because they'd be so much more potent. Lol. Look, I'm not even mad at 10 milligram edibles. They are great for novices, lower tolerances, weekend users, your grandma, shit like that. They should definitely be an option, just not the only option. So these Wana Quick Gummies are 1-to-1 5 milligram THC, 5 milligram CBD gummies. They're made using some new technology or other that's called Azuka time. Like all things science, that's an acronym for thermodynamic individual molecular encapsulation. Apparently, some chef figured out a way to encapsulate each cannabinoid molecule. This encapsulation protects it from degradation caused by heat and light. And the single molecule delivery system is supposed to allow your body to absorb it faster. The FAQ on the website says they will work in 5 to 15 minutes after consumption, but could take up to 30 minutes after consuming a large meal. But they caution you to wait up to 60 minutes before consuming any more. On the package it tells me to wait up to 4 hours before consuming more, and that a failure to do so could result in a trip to the hospital. Are you scared of this 10 milligram package of gummies? Because you should be. Terrified. So, in case you didn't notice, I'm a daily cannabis user since I was 12 years old, and I'm definitely not new to edibles. I've made and ate most, if not all of them. I eat strong edibles all the time. I'll even smoke flower or do dabs on top of it. I'm also not a small man, so 10 milligrams is kind of laughable. But is it legalization for all, or is it legalization for people that don't really use cannabis? As you can imagine, I'm not expecting a lot here. But to give it the best chance I could, I chose to eat them first thing in the morning. I even had an early dinner the day before, so a full stomach was definitely not an issue. All I had was coffee. The gummies themselves were okay. They kept their shape in the package. They smelled good. The texture was a little more jelly and less gummy. Maybe more crumbly than chewy, know what I mean? But they tasted okay for the most part. The strawberry lime was tasty and they didn't seem too sweet or not sweet enough. However, there was one big problem with the taste. And that problem is distillate. Remember, it's great for accuracy because it's stripped of cannabinoids. Those cannabinoids are the flavor though, right? So many folks assume they're flavorless, but we all know that's never the case. Because there is a flavor left behind, and that flavor is bitter. It sort of lingers in the background behind all those sweet, fake candy flavors. If you've ever sucked on a medicated hard candy made with distillate, you know exactly the flavor I'm talking about. But with a gummy, you're chewing it up and it doesn't linger in your mouth as long, at least. You're not sucking on it. You're not sucking on it, right? Who sucks on gummies? You know what? Do you? I will say the lime goes a long way to masking that bitter flavor, and that's probably why they went that route, but the lime tapped out in round 2. So that was that. I ate my first legal gummy. Having been told of their unimaginable strength, now that they're being sold by the government, I was very cautious. So I didn't use anything else. It was 7:10 in the morning when I took them, and 7:30 came and went, and nothing. 1 hour. Nope. 2 hours. Sorry. I started to wonder if I should just dab something great and get on with my day. But then I remembered the dire warning on the package, and I thought twice about it. So I waited some more. 3 hours. Still nothing. At this point, I got my torch in hand and my dab rig, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm doing some dabs. But then I remembered the sad, doe-eyed child named Science looking up at me, saying there's just one more hour. You can make it. So I figure, shit, I'm 3 hours in, what's another hour? So I go back to talking shit on Twitter for a while. Maybe being smug will help. They say talking shit is a catalyst for edibles. But despite all that, still nothing. 4 hours in, and ground control called it a scrub mission. I then rolled up some homegrown cannabis and medicated properly. I followed that up with a piece of medicated score bar fudge, and then went shopping at Walmart. Final thoughts? Edibles in Canada are an embarrassing joke. I'm sorry, overpriced, over-restrictive THC limits just ain't it. And Cannabis Act reform needs to happen before anything will ever change. I suggest you hit them where they will listen and don't give them any of your money. Thanks for listening to another episode of Man vs. Weed Podcast. If you like what you hear, like, rate, and subscribe, and maybe even recommend the podcast to your weed-smoking grandma. For all things Man vs. Weed, find me on Twitter talking shit at StreetVillain. If you have any thoughts for me, email me at manvsweedthc@gmail.com. Until next time, stay high and free the weed.